Welcome everybody. I'm Dr. Susan Riegg, and I'm here tonight to give you just a free informational kind of class on HCG diet. I am very interested in helping women lose weight with HCG for a lot of reasons. I'll go over that a little bit. So my focus is going to be on pharmaceutical HCG. I'm actually a pathologist by training. I am a graduate of the Medical College of Wisconsin, graduated in 1990, did a 5-year residency in anatomic and surgical pathology. Finished that in 1995 and started working in pathology labs, mainly at Columbia St. Mary's here in Milwaukee. My main area of interest was diagnosis of breast cancer. So that's a little bit about my background. I'm just going to give you a kind of a whirlwind tour of diet and HCG in particular and the obesity epidemic. So I'll touch a little bit how proteins, fats, and carbs are handled by the body and why HCG works so well, not only for weight loss, but for maintenance of the weight loss. A little bit about the obesity epidemic. There's actually much more obesity in the world than there is famine and starvation. And from a medical perspective, we're very concerned about how this is leading to type 2 diabetes. As your weight goes up and up, you lose your sensitivity, your insulin sensitivity, and develop type 2 diabetes. Heart disease, stroke, hypertension, certain cancers, and premature death. I'm going to show you some data from the CDC, which I find really interesting. But what they've done is track the percentage of the population of each state that has a BMI of 30 or higher. So the BMI is only based on height and weight. It's not the greatest measure of health and wellness, but it's very simplistic. So a BMI up to 25 is considered normal. 25 to 29.9 is considered overweight, and anything 30 or above is obese. This picture, I just want to illustrate why the BMI is not the greatest measure of health, because we see this most commonly in men, where you can have two individuals, both the exact same height and the exact same weight. That has a lot of significance as far as your metabolic rate and how many calories you burn even when you're sleeping and your ability to maintain your weight. So I'm going to just run through the data. First of all, what they did was create maps that show the percentages of the population that are overweight or obese. So the grayish blue is showing states where we had no data. This is for 1985. The light blue had less than 10% of the population were obese or had a BMI of 30 or higher. And the dark blue had 10 to 14% of the population was obese, and notably, Wisconsin is in that. So that was 1985. In one decade, from 1990 to 1999, the percentage of people who were obese doubled, and then it doubled again. And the hormone imbalances are contributing to weight gain significantly. The reason I bring this up is that the HCG is absolutely perfect for helping to break food addictions, because it's working on the same part of the brain that controls the food addictions in the first place, which is the hypothalamus. So talking about food addictions, the addiction center is the hypothalamus. It's the exact same part of the brain that is causing problems in patients who are addicted to drugs or gambling or smoking or alcohol. It is all the same part of the brain. It's the hypothalamus. What we're doing is following a protocol written by a physician, Dr. Simeons, and he wrote a manuscript called Pounds and Inches. His manuscript is mandatory reading, and I do have this on my website. You can download it. It's a PDF. In this country, you can only get real HCG with a prescription. HCG is very fragile. It has to be kept refrigerated once it's reconstituted. So obviously we get our HCG from PCAB accredited compounding pharmacy right here. I strongly recommend the injectable HCG, and it is a tiny itty bitty needle. It's an insulin needle basically. It's a 31 gauge insulin needle. You're basically pinching a roll of fat, cleaning off with alcohol, and it goes in like butter. The true test of potency of the HCG is whether it would turn a pregnancy test positive. I do recommend that patients follow Simeon's protocol exactly as described. We provide 50-day supply of HCG. While you're on the HCG, the first 2 days are loading days, and that means you eat as much high-fat food as possible. The HCG is preferentially helping you release the fat stores. And those fat stores are circulating and providing you all the calories and nutrients that you need. That's why we store the fat in the first place. So the HCG is playing a little trick on the body to get fat cells to release the stored triglycerides. When you think of 500 calories, it does sound like a very small amount of food. Volume-wise, you're going to get a very, very large amount of vegetable. So the protocol is 2 servings of protein, that's restricted 3.5 ounces twice a day, 2 fruit servings, 3.5 ounces, 2 servings of grissini breadstick or Melba toast, and then after that, all of the rest of the calories are filled with vegetables. You know, when our patients are on HCG, they're preferentially burning fat. This is a body composition analyzer. We just attach 2 electrodes to the hand, 2 electrodes to the feet. We have a current run through the body, and then the computer will measure reactance, resistance, impedance, and phase angle. After the diet is over, we repeat this process, and if, say, our female patients lose 25 pounds in a 50-day period, we're going to be able to see that probably 23 pounds is lost out of the fat component and only 2 pounds out of the lean. And that's what sets HCG apart. And the homeopathic HCG, you know, a lot of people out there saying they lost weight and they did great on homeopathic HCG. They lose weight because they're on the very low calorie diet, but they're much more hungry and they lose weight in a very different way. They lose approximately equal portions of muscle and fat. There's only 4 allowed fruits, and it's grapefruit, apples, oranges, and strawberries. The veggies, there's 13 allowed veggies, but this just shows all the green leafy veggies and the cabbage. I think Swiss chard, and then the really good ones are the cucumber, tomato, onions, and radishes. A lot of seafood, scallops, shrimp, crab meat, steaks, chicken breasts. As far as sweeteners, all of these are bad, except for the sweet leaf stevia. We encourage patients to drink quite a bit of water. Whatever your body weight is, you divide it in half, and that's how many ounces of water you should be drinking per day. Exactly as described by Dr. Simeons, you can continue your current level of physical activity, but we don't want you ramping up physical activity when you're on HCG because you're going to burn through your calories too fast. And our typical results for female patients in a 50-day period, we're seeing usually a minimum of 23 to 24 pounds. I will never say what the maximum is because it creates unrealistic expectations, but it's much more than 24 pounds in 50 days for females. Male patients will lose 50 pounds in 50 days. This is the most important part so that you can maintain your weight loss. So the first 3 weeks after maintenance, you can eat any food that you wish with the exception of sugar and grain. And the only rule is you weigh yourself every single day, and if you ever gain more than 2 pounds over whatever weight you were on your last injection day, then you have to do a correction day. And you do that for 3 weeks. A correction day is a steak day as described by Dr. Simeons, so that means no breakfast, no lunch, and at 4 p.m. or later you can have a huge steak plus either an apple or a tomato. And drink a ton of water. That's a correction day. 100% of the time that will result in the 2 pounds coming off, and then you're back to where you were. So long as you keep that weight stable within 2 pounds of your last injection weight for 3 weeks, that'll be your new normal, your new kind of set point for your hypothalamus. And then a little bit more detail about the reintroduction of foods. The first week we have patients eat all the same foods, unlimited quantities. You don't have to weigh foods anymore. You don't have to count calories. You can eat the same foods you were on an HCG, but as much as you want. And you eat till you're satisfied, and then you stop eating. In that first week, you're also reintroducing all the fats. So the real butter, the coconut oil, extra virgin olive oil, the eggs, the fattier meats. Should never be using things like Smart Balance or I can't believe it's not butter. That stuff is a disaster. It needs to be thrown in the garbage. In the second week, we're bringing in higher glycemic fruits and vegetables, and then in the third week, the dairy, nuts, and beans. And then that's it for phase 3, and then phase 4, we're very cautiously reintroducing carbs.